Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Committee Reads. I am your host KWCs, and with me today I have Fat Bacon Unicorn, Alex, and Nagoda. And today we will be covering match 129, Gigan vs. Godzilla vs. Mecha-King Ghidorah by Christian Salibert. Concluded for match 18, Gigan vs. King Ghidorah Heisei. Please read that if you haven't. Clanging his blood-stained sights together, Gigan reared his head back and let loose an unmistakable cry of victory. His foe was slain. His mission was completed. Sparks erupted from Gigan as the ray struck his back. The blue beam sent Gigan toppling into his face, causing him to squawk out in surprise. The cyborg quickly returned to his feet to see who had attacked it. A large dinosaur-like creature was approaching it. The beast was charcoal gray in color and had ivory fins on his back. A powerful tail swung behind it. The reptile bellowed a challenge. "Oh, so there's another one," the young man, the auxiliary controller, muttered with interest. "Gigan, attack." With a loud cry, Gigan struck a battle pose with his sides and immediately charged, leaving the massacred body of King Ghidorah behind him. The dinosaur reared back in surprise at the sudden advance of his opponent, but reacted just as suddenly, unleashing another atomic ray. Gigan swatted at the beam with his arm this time, dispersing it in a minor explosion. Before the reptile could react, Gigan slashed at its side with his scythes as it ran past, gashing open its flesh. As the dinosaur cried out while its blood spilled, Gigan reached up with his tail, snatching the reptile's snout within the clawed clamp at the end. With a powerful flick of his tail, Gigan sent the creature crashing to the ground. Godzilla grunted in pain as he toppled onto his chest. He wasn't quite sure what this strange bladed creature was, but he did know that he was going to put an end to it. Pulling himself to his feet, Godzilla opened his jaws and belched forth an atomic blast. But Gigan was quicker than expected and was in the air in an instant, letting the beam explode harmlessly against the ground in a cloud of fire and dust. Godzilla craned his head upward to see the cyborg and growled angrily as he spotted it circling above him. Godzilla spat another atomic ray into the sky, but Gigan effortlessly avoided it and returned fire with a blast of his cluster light ray. Godzilla grunted as the beam exploded all around him, throwing him off balance. Before he could recover, Gigan flew in behind him, gashing his torso saw across Godzilla's skull. With a shriek, the Monster King crashed back to the pavement, blood trickling from his head. Gigan landed nearby and chirped in laughter as he watched Godzilla struggle to get back to his feet. The cyborg clashed his sides together as he taunted the reptile. A mistake. Wrenching his head upward, Godzilla unleashed a nuclear beam that smashed into Gigan's face, knocking the space beast onto his back in a shower of sparks. Pulling himself to his feet, the Monster King made his way over to Gigan as the cyborg writhed about on the ground, holding his face as best he could with his sides. Reaching down, Godzilla took hold of Gigan's tail claw and hoisted the creature into the air, bringing him back down hard. Gigan's back smashed down hard into the pavement, dazing the cyborg, only for Godzilla to once again lift him into the air and slam him to the ground. Thrice more, Godzilla repeated the maneuver before twisting his body around and hurtling Gigan through the air, sending the cyborg crashing headfirst through the nearest building, bringing the structure down on Gigan's head, burying him under thousands of tons of debris. Holy moly, that was a sentence right there. Turning his attention to the nearby skyscrapers, Godzilla cleaved them in half with his atomic ray, sending their charred remains crashing down onto Gigan as well. Godzilla watched the pile of wreckage closely for a moment. Not a single sign of movement came. Rearing his head back and flexing his arms, Godzilla let loose a roar of victory. His victory was short-lived, however. A mysterious hissing noise filled the air, causing Godzilla to cut his roar short and look into the sky, trying to pinpoint the source of the strange sound. Suddenly, in a brilliant flash of light, a vortex of energy. That sounds weird. A new being came into existence, soaring high in the air. Mecha-King Ghidorah had arrived. The Exilian controller reared his head back in surprise as he watched the events unfold on his view screen. Wait, what? He asked no one in particular. Did Gigan already kill that monster? It's King Ghidorah, Grunt Chico declared. No, Wilson replied, shaking his head as he closely watched the scene unfold on the view screen. This is something different. With an earth-shaking thud, Mecha-King Ghidorah landed not too far away from Godzilla, the creature's two living heads letting out a series of cackling shrieks. The mechanized left head opened its maw, unleashing a cybernetic synthesized cry. Godzilla's head reared back as he was taken by surprise by the sudden arrival of this new creature, letting loose with a roar of confusion and anger. He heard the beast's cackles for what they truly were, a challenge, and Godzilla was not about to let any challenge go unanswered. Roaring loudly, he advanced. Mecha-King Ghidorah immediately opened fire with a barrage of gravity beams and triple beam lasers. The blast slammed into Godzilla, halting him in his tracks and showering him with sparks. The mighty reptile snarled in pain as the lightning-like blast scorched his flesh and immediately retaliated in kind, unleashing his atomic breath at the three-headed monster, only for the azure beam to wash over his armored opponent's chest plate. Sparks flew, but the three-headed monster barely seemed bothered by the attack, and indeed resumed fire energy bolt after energy bolt from his trio of mouths. Godzilla shrieked as they tore into him. In the Leviathan's cockpit, Emi Kano scrambled to keep Mecha-King Ghidorah active. Emi, the shields are holding up, but we need to avoid direct hits like that. The voice of the android M11 guided her over the intercom. I know that, Emi snapped, moving the main control stick forward.
No need to get pissy.
Moving the control stick forward, she directed the three-headed destroyer towards Godzilla, who appeared to be surprised by the sudden move. Capitalizing on Godzilla's surprise, Emi turned Mecha-King Ghidorah's firepower onto a nearby skyscraper, cutting the structure in half. Godzilla was completely unaware of the toppling building until it was too late, crushed underneath. As the smoke began to clear, Emi spotted Godzilla's tail sticking out of the wreckage, still showing signs of life. Mecha-King Ghidorah immediately opened fire, blasting the pile of debris with gold, white, and purple energy. Suddenly, a shockwave of blue energy erupted from the rubble, vaporizing the wreckage and allowing Godzilla to rise back to his feet, roaring furiously. His mouth still open, the Monster King unleashed a powerful atomic blast, a smaller stream of energy swirling around the ray. The blast struck Mecha-King Ghidorah in the chest, and this time the cyborg felt it, stumbling backwards. Godzilla stepped forward, flexing his claws as he prepared to strike the cyborg's chest plate. Emi reacted, though, punching a command into the controls that caused the three-headed monster to leap into the air, towards its foe. Godzilla reared back, once again taken by surprise. Unable to react fast enough, Godzilla was helpless to stop the multi-headed cyborg's feet from smashing into his face, flooring the reptile. As Godzilla lay stunned on the ground, Mecha-King Ghidorah landed to turn back to face him. Emi kept her hand on the joystick as she decided her next move. Her strategizing was cut short when another pile of debris exploded nearby, a large scythe emerging from the ruins. Emi quickly turned Mecha-King Ghidorah to face the disturbance just in time to see Gigan emerge from the rubble, shrieking in fury. The Exilian cyborg quickly saw Godzilla laying on the street and what appeared to be King Ghidorah standing over him. In three-headed monster's cockpit, that's weird, Emi was suddenly having trouble controlling the mech. She tried a systems check, trying to pinpoint exactly what the problem was. Emi, what's wrong? M11 asked. I don't know. Mecha-King Ghidorah is barely responding, she said as she hurriedly worked the controls. Unbeknownst to either of the cyborg's pilots, Mecha-King Ghidorah's sluggishness was due to a memory. a memory sparking deep within the minds of the two remaining heads of King Ghidorah, a memory of being slain by the very same bladed creature they saw before them. Soon the two minds were trying to break free of the Futurian technology that had been grafted upon them. Swinging the sides around, Gigan decided to attack and charge. In a panic, Emmy pulled the trigger to fire Mecha-King Ghidorah's breath weapons, but only the mechanical head responded, firing a triple beam laser. The bolt hit Gigan in the chest, slowing his advance, but not stopping it completely. Emmy aimed the weapon up, strafing Gigan's neck until it hit him in the face, exploding against his visor. Gigan shrieked, clutching his face with his sides. The three-headed monster fired again, but this time Gigan shot up into the air, avoiding the blast. Circling overhead, Gigan shot off his cluster light ray. As the crimson beam exploded all around him, Mecha-King Ghidorah's live head suddenly snapped to attention, instantly pinpointing Gigan above him. Flapping his gigantic solar panel wings, the three-headed monster took to the sky, cackling at his old foe. "Emmy, what are you doing?" M11 cried. "I'm not doing anything," she cried. "Mecha-King Ghidorah is doing this on his own." Pass. Ooh. Okay, Bacon, I cannot hear you. I cannot hear
you. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Whew.
Okay, so I tried clicking on the link. It won't open. Most of the servers I'm in are down. My Discord is freaking out.
Okay, that might be the result of the thingy-majig. So I think Nagoda was still up next anyway, so, just try and get all that reoriented, so.
Yeah, if I don't, I just won't be able to.
Gotcha. Alright, Nagoda, you're up.
Alright.
From
Wilson watched this.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the right part, yeah. Wilson watched the scene?
Yes, that's the right part.
Okay. Wilson watched the scene with interest, his hand on his chin. I wonder. Turning around, Gigan flew directly at Mecha-King Ghidorah, firing off another cluster blast. The Futurian cyborg zoomed right through the ensuing explosions. Though and the two organic heads immediately... Wait, what? Though and the two organic heads... that doesn't make sense, but immediately opened fire with their gravity beams. While unsure of her current predicament, Emmy noted that Mecha-King Ghidorah seemed to share her goal, and so she too opened fire, adding the triple beam laser to the multi-headed cyborg's assault. Blasted repeatedly by the three bolts, Gigan was forced to swerve away. Before Emmy could do so, Mecha-King Ghidorah began to give chase, following Gigan as fast as he could. Though the alien beast was much faster, it couldn't outrun the three-headed monster's energy bolts, and another volley of blast forced Gigan to the ground. Landing on his feet, Gigan turned around and prepared to fire his razor discs at his opponent, only for Mecha-King Ghidorah to plant his feet into the bird-like creature's face, knocking him to the ground. Just as the multi-headed cyborg prepared to attack, he was hit by an atomic blast, showering his armor with sparks. He turned just in time for Godzilla to slam his shoulder into him, causing the cyborg to stagger back. A red beam exploded all around Godzilla, which was soon followed by a metallic blow to the head, as Gigan slammed the side of his scythe into the back of Godzilla's skull. Righting himself, Mecha-King Ghidorah opened fire with all three of its beams, blasting his two opponents.
"I don't understand it,"
Emmy cried as she worked every control she could find.
"Godzilla, he was supposed to make commands, but with Gigan, Mecha-King Ghidorah is attacking all on his own."
"Emmy, get out of there," M11 said hurriedly. "Bring Mecha-King Ghidorah back to base." She quickly punched in the necessary command code to activate the time warp into the panel in front of her, only to get nothing in response. It was then that Emmy finally panicked.
"I can't."
So you're telling me we can control that cyborg King Ghidorah as easily as we could our own? Grin Chico asked, his head tilted with uncertainty. That King Ghidorah is ours, Wilson said, but it won't be as easy as before. This Ghidorah is damaged and has other control devices planted within its neural pathways now. We'll have to move Mother in closer if we're to take control of it. But why? Grin Chico asked. What good does a damaged King Ghidorah? Don't you see? Wilson asked. That robot Ghidorah is stronger and has more weapons in its arsenal. If we can take control of it, we can destroy Godzilla and that alien beast, and then resume our mission of putting those foolish Japanese in their place. Of course, Grin Chico laughed. He turned to the twin M10 android pilot sitting at the control panel. Get us in the air! Godzilla cried out as he crashed to the ground, overwhelmed by Mecha-King Ghidorah's unending assault of energy blasts. Gigan quickly ran up and kicked his spiked foot into Godzilla's face, only to be blasted by the gravity beams as well. The Exilian cyborg quickly turned and attacked his three-headed foe, crashing into him and activating his buzzsaw. Sparks flew as the saw tore into Mecha Ghidorah. That is weird saying it like that.
Yeah, I know it is.
I almost said Mecha Godzilla right there. The sparks flew as the saw tore into Mecha Ghidorah's armor, only for the two to be separated as Godzilla lifted his head and fired an atomic blast that exploded between them. Emmy, focus your attacks on Gigan, M11 suggested. He's the one causing all the problems with Mecha-King Ghidorah. Maybe once he's destroyed, he'll start functioning properly again. Right, Emmy nodded as she prepared to unleash Mecha-King Ghidorah's ultimate weapon, the Machine Hand. High overhead, the mother timeship made its presence known, though it went unnoticed by any of the three warring beasts. I have to give Emmy this, Wilson said as he watched Mecha-King Ghidorah in action. She truly went all out in upgrading our monster. That she did, Grin Chico agreed. As a pity, we'll have to relieve it of its mechanical head. It's quite nice looking. We can replace it once we have it under our control, Wilson replied. Until then, as long as Emmy can control it, it's an obstacle between us and total conquest of Japan. Sir, the two Futurians looked down to the M10 that had spoken. The control device is ready. Wilson nodded and gave the order. Do it. Just before Emmy could press the button to launch the machine hand, Mecha-King Ghidorah stopped in his tracks. Before she had a chance to even wonder what was happening, the cyborg's two live heads began to shake and writhe as electricity crackled over their skulls. Emmy, M11 cried, someone is trying to take control of Mecha-King Ghidorah. What? She screamed. Indeed, Wilson and Grin Chico's control was all but complete, as Mecha-King Ghidorah began to pour blast after blast into Godzilla and Gigan, putting both creatures on the defensive. Godzilla was forced face first to the ground, and Gigan was sent careening backwards into a building, bringing it down on top of him.
Not if I have anything to say about it,
Emmy declared, and quickly brought Mecha Ghidorah's cybernetic head into action. It swung around and punched its metallic snout into the central head's face. Wait, what?
Wait, what? Hang on a second. Cybernetic head into...
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on a second. Declare brought Mecha Ghidorah's cybernetic head into action. It swung around, punched its metallic snout into the central head's face. Huh?
I didn't know this middle head grew back already.
Yeah, I know, right? I think it's meant to be left head. But
it then opened its mouth and spat out a triple beam laser that exploded against the right head. You still got the head wrong, Kaiju X. It was the right head, apparently.
Well, no, I'm saying
Wilson
the one that was meant to be the one the metallic snout bumped into was the left head, knocking that one back, but it was mistakenly putting it central. See what I'm getting
okay.
at? Then he attacks the right one with the central head, or she does.
Okay. Wilson sneered. Foolish girl. Mecha-King Ghidorah's two organic heads quickly turned their gravity beams onto the mechanical brother, scorching his plating and blasting pieces out of it, ruining a perfectly good head. The robotic head was quickly overwhelmed by the other two, which bent down and began to bite and snap at its base, which was quickly shredded and ripped apart. Emmy watched in horror as the two live heads bit down on the mechanical neck and tore it completely out of its socket, sparks spraying from the mangled end of the neck. Cackling triumphantly, the two heads tossed the metallic neck to the ground, bouncing it off Godzilla's head, before realizing they were once again missing their middle head and had no idea what they were going to do afterwards. Lifting his head up, Godzilla angrily got to his feet and snatched the lifeless robot neck off the ground. Gigan quickly got to his feet and chirped furiously at Mecha-King Ghidorah, only for Godzilla to turn around and clock him across the face with a mechanical head, sending the Exilian monster tumbling back to the streets. You guys want me to pass, or you want me to keep reading?
I mean, you could keep reading up to the thing of whatchamacallits, the little dot things. So.
No, just keep going to the. Okay, I see.
Asterisk.
Where did I?
Still holding the metallic neck.
I forgot where I left off.
Still holding the metallic
okay.
neck in his claws.
Okay, still holding the metallic neck in his claws, the Monster King turned his attention back to Mecha-King. Emmy. Oh, my brothers are home. I can hear them in the hallway.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they went fishing.
Alright.
Emmy, enough. Get out of there, Emma11 pleaded. Abandon ship.
I think you're right.
Emmy said as she... Did you catch anything? Hold on, let me just mute this.
Alright. I'll take over.
Pass right here. Wait, where did everyone else go? It's just us? Oh, I mean, I can read again, but...
Oh, okay. Alright.
Yeah. Where did Alex go? Did he leave?
Yeah, he had to, something came up. He'll try to be back in a bit.
Okay, so I'll just keep reading.
I think you're right.
I stopped off at Emmy, right? Yeah.
I think you're right.
Emmy said as she watched Godzilla approach. She hit another button, and within moments, the kid's time ship burst out of Mecha-King Ghidorah's back and took off into the sky. Lucky for Emmy, Godzilla hadn't noticed the small craft emerge from Mecha-King Ghidorah. He swung his arm around, clobbering the central head. Wait, what?
Wait, hell.
Clobbering the central head with a robotic neck.
What the heck? Okay.
He's beating the...
Clobbering the central head with the robot. What the heck? Does it mean the stump? Or is this the left head again, mistaken as the central?
No, he's just using that neck and slamming it into the ground.
Okay, maybe it was that.
It was then that the two heads began to fight fully under the control of Wilson and Grinchenko, blasting Godzilla with gravity beam after gravity beam. But they were weakened because, they were kind of missing a head. Godzilla cried out as he felt a slicing pain sink into his back. Into his back as Gigan's razor disc planted themselves into his flesh. Ghidorah's head bent down and swatted Godzilla away, turning his attention back to Gigan. The Futurian cyborg unleashed his... Huh? Okay, hold up. Okay, never mind.
The
I'll finish
Futurian
this paragraph.
cyborg unleashed his gravity beams.
I'm gonna need to figure out where that... Okay, found it. The Futurian cyborg unleashed his gravity beams once again, but this time Gigan ignored the blast, running through the surrounding explosions. Swinging his right arm up, Gigan's scythe cleaved cleanly through Mecha-King Ghidorah's right wing, slicing off the top third. Next, Gigan thrust his left arm forward, impaling the three-headed monster's left wing. And pass. That's what he gets for tearing off his middle head again.
Yeah,
Can't do anything without that,
I
apparently.
guess not. Damn, Cyborg, Wilson snarled. Finish it! As Gigan was in the process of extracting his blade from Mecha-King Ghidorah's wing, the three-headed monster's chest plate opened up. Before Gigan could react, the machine hand emerged and clamped down around his torso. Shrieking wildly, Gigan began to slam his scythe against the weapon, only for the weapon to begin to hum and glow. The Mecha-King Ghidorah's head cackled as it began to pump millions of volts of electricity through the machine hand and into Gigan's body. The alien creature reared his head back, shrieking and throwing his arms into the air as he felt the charges surge throughout his body, frying circuits everywhere. More and more electricity was poured into Gigan's form until smoke began to emanate from his armored hide. Finally, the cyborg's visor burst in a shower of sparks and glass-like material, and Godzilla went completely limp in the machine hand's grip. Glaring at his lifeless foe and growling, Mecha Ghidorah tightened the clamp's grip until a sound of wrenching metal was heard, crushing Gigan's torso within the clamp. Godzilla rose to his feet just in time to watch Mecha-King Ghidorah open the machine hand, letting Gigan's dead, crumpled form topple to the ground with a thud. Arrgh! The Exilian controller, a pirate, reared his head back as he screamed in fury, throwing his arms into the air. Those damn humans! They'll pay for this! Noticing a trio of his soldiers standing nearby, the controller decided to vent his anger and whipped out his pistol, shooting one of them in the head. The other two quickly fled from the room as their comrade's corpse hit the floor. Roaring in fury at the mechanized Ghidorah, Godzilla only succeeded in turning the cyborg's attention on him. Wilson glared at the screen. "Kill it, King Ghidorah!" That classic line. Mecha-King Ghidorah immediately resumed his assault on Godzilla, but with the mechanical head gone, the king of the monsters only had 2 gravity beams to contend with. Opening his jaws, Godzilla unleashed a radioactive blast that slammed into the central head's face. What central head? Knocking it back.
Yeah.
It's still here. I think that's meant to be the left head. I think central head was meant to be left head.
I guess the center head just keeps growing back apparently and disappearing.
Yeah, but it keeps growing back, but it keeps getting destroyed in the very next scene. Ignoring the golden blast that assaulted his flesh, Godzilla stepped forward, striking Mecha-King Ghidorah's chest plate with his claws and throwing sparks. Ghidorah's right head swooped in and sank its teeth into Godzilla's throat, causing a gurgled cry to escape from the mutant dinosaur's lips. Before Godzilla could wrench himself free, the center head joined... Gosh darn it! The center head joined in, biting down on the other side of his neck. Godzilla...
What is this? Legendary?
I know, right? Is this legendary Ghidorah? Let's see how quickly the center head gets destroyed again. Godzilla grasped at the heads in an attempt to free himself, but failed to get a grip on them. Overhead, Mother lowered itself towards the 2 beasts in order to gain better view of Godzilla's demise. Poor Godzilla, Grenchico laughed, brought back to life just in time to be destroyed once again. As Mecha-King Ghidorah's fangs sank deeper and deeper into his flesh, Godzilla's struggles weakened and weakened, just as it seemed as if his motions were about to cease entirely. Godzilla's eyes and dorsal fins flashed blue. A second later, after a blinding shockwave of energy erupted from Godzilla's entire body, blowing Mecha-King Ghidorah backwards in a burst of fire. Shrieking in agony, the 3-headed monster crashed onto his back and writhed about, missing large chunks of his wings and portions of his face.
Well, I guess that there just really...
The center head's gone again.
No, the center head's still there apparently because he's a 3-headed monster now.
Wait. Oh gosh! Oh gosh! You're right. Like, did it regrow? Did we miss a scene where the center head regrew itself? Or am I missing something? No. The metal head was having... What? Never mind. As his throat...
I mean, technically, he does have that ability where he can just reconnect the center head, the mechanical one.
Right, but that wasn't applied until much later. This is old school Mecha-King Ghidorah right here. This was before Greyshot and I took over. Yeah, this is old school. This is film Mecha-King Ghidorah, so that does not apply. So that would explain a lot. As his throat began to heal itself, Godzilla looked down at the fallen cyborg, hatred burning in his eyes. Opening his mouth, Godzilla unleashed an atomic ray that cleaved Mecha-Ghidorah's left wing in half. I would not be shocked if that was center wing in half at this point. Another ray exploded against his chest plate, setting shards of metal flying everywhere. Above them, Mother began to falter. Sir, we're losing altitude. Godzilla's pulse shorted out our systems. Wilson's eyes went wide. What? No! Godzilla raised his head upwards, the motions of the wavering Mother catching his attention. Another of man's flying warships? With a snarl, the Monster King spat forth another radioactive blast. The beam clipped the time ship, crippling it and sending it plummeting out of the sky. Godzilla watched as it fell down upon Mecha-King Ghidorah, striking the cyborg in the chest and engulfing his torso in a huge explosion. The living heads cackled in agony as the flames washed over them, but the mechanized dragon refused to give in. The right neck pulled itself up and quickly unleashed a golden blast at Godzilla, who roared in fury and instantly responded in kind. The multi-headed cyborg's central head dang it, central head cried out as Godzilla's ray struck the right head and detonated its skull. Godzilla quickly charged up another atomic blast and let it loose, rupturing the cyborg's fuel cells and finally destroying Mecha-King Ghidorah in a brilliant ball of fire. For a moment, Godzilla watched his opponent burn. Soon, though, he raised his snout, sniffing the air. He sensed something, far off in the distance. Another intruder? Turning his back to his fallen foes, Godzilla began to make his way towards the unknown presence. In the Exilium mothership, the controller looked at the results on the view screen and slumped his shoulders. Godzilla was heading directly for his ship. Oh, hell. Winner, Godzilla. Whew. Alright.
Okay, so can I go first?
Yes, you can go
quick?
first.
Because I'm about to go eat right now, so...
Right.
The match was pretty good. I really liked how, even though it's I really liked how it's a sequel to another match. Plus, just Mecha-King Ghidorah just going berserk, falling under the control of someone else. Found it funny how we just kept seeing the center head just coming back alive out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of funny.
Every opportunity it had the chance to, apparently.
Yeah, it kept growing. It just kept coming back, even in scenes where...
It just kept coming back.
Even in scenes where the mechanical head was still in place, it was like, yeah, where did that come from? Where did that go? Does King Ghidorah have four heads and we just never knew it?
It's secretly Orochi. Gigan was used pretty fun in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I don't really remember much of the Gigan scenes for some reason. Kind of expected that Godzilla would win in the end, if you think about it.
Right.
Gotta preserve that timeline.
Yep. Gotta preserve the timeline. Godzilla stops all time traveling shenanigans and alien invasions. But yeah, no.
And Banner's pretty good looking too. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna go eat now, so see ya.
Alright, see ya. Alright, and with that said, let's see, my own personal opinions of the match very much just fall in line with Nagoda said. It's like, this is a fun sequel to Gigan. This is a fun sequel to Match 18, a rather unexpected follow-up, given the fact that it's like, oh, Match 18, whatever, and then it's just like, oh, here it is. At long last, a sequel that no one asked for, but you know what? It was nice to get that all wrapped up. Actually, follow up on a match and kind of conclude the story in a way. There are some problems I have with it. I think this is clearly either a rushed match or this one definitely needed to be looked over again because there are a lot of little minor mistakes, and then there's the blatant error of Mecha-King Ghidorah's center head coming back again and again. Either that or the mechanical head was the left head. That's the only thing that would make sense to me, is the mechanical head being the left head in this iteration. But with that said... Oh, hey, Alex, welcome back.
Hey, did I just join in at the right time?
We're all giving our thoughts, so I was just in the middle of mine.
Oh, perfect. I wasn't there.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think this one has some interesting... Yeah, this one's it's a fun follow-up to Match 18. It takes some nice, unexpected little turns, like when Mecha-King Ghidorah starts... is triggered by Gigan's presence. It's like, oh, I want to attack him. And then the Wilson and Grenchico coming in saying, you belong to us now, mind controlling Mecha-King Ghidorah. That was kind of fun. I was not expecting that. I do have to say there are just some little bit of problems I had, which I went over, even though you just came in. But this is an enjoyable match, but it's also, I don't think it's one of Christian's best. There's definitely a lot of little errors and faults. I had a feeling that was just kind of wrote, get it out as quickly as possible, as opposed to just going through and proofreading it, because that center head keeps coming back somehow.
I remember everyone got excited about this because it was a sequel.
Yeah. So, Alex, did you have any thoughts, or in this case, memories? Because I know you kind of had to leave before your part. Oh, Joe's back.
Alright.
Hey! My buddy!
Alright, Darth Vader.
No, just the memory of everyone getting excited.
Your mom gay.
Oh. Damn.
Gosh darn it. But Alex, did you have any thoughts on?
Nah, just that memory.
Okay. And with that said, I guess that aside, I mean, yeah, what can I say? It was fine, and the banner's actually pretty decent. Like, you got decent. It's a basic standoff, but it's like, I like the way Mecha-King Ghidorah is sort of designed around the title. It's like one wing's clipping over the title and the other's behind it. That's nice. I like that. But with that said, this has been match 129, and we'll see you guys next time for match 130. Until then, folks,